All right. Welcome back, you Inglorious Bastards and Magnificent Bitches. It is I, Dr. Mo, and we're back with my thought of the day. We're going to talk a little bit about Biden and the Democrats' push for your guns. We're going to talk about how doctors are partly responsible for the increased number of infections going on. Now, this is outside of COVID, so throw that out of your mind just in general. It came up. It was interesting. We needed a new story, and we've been talking about COVID. I wanted to talk about something different, so I chose to do that. And the other thing that we are discussing today will be the Boulder shooting suspect, how it destroys the last narrative about white Asian hate crimes. Sweet like of a juice. And we're going to talk about the Supreme Court being the enemy of the Constitution of the United States and not understanding the definitions of basic English words. But before we begin, censorship's getting out of control. People are getting censored left, right, and sideways for a variety of different things. Some of them make sense, some of them don't make sense. Mine's got a whole lolly porn thing going on because it's borderline child porn, and I don't know what it's technically classified as. But sexualizing the image of children is sexualizing the image of children, but that's not what we're talking about here. But the best way to support us is to go directly to our own website. We're building our own platform, trying to insulate us from this. Even if you just view the free content from there by just becoming a member and joining the subscribers' email list, get access to enter the win a shirt every month. We'll consider joining $5 a month and becoming a member and getting extra member benefits and stuff. But it's really how you're going to help keep this channel going in the future, because I don't know how we're going to make it through all this. But let's get into this this first topic, which is superbugs kill. Doctors may be partly responsible for the superbugs, right? So superbugs kill more than 35,000 people in the U.S. each year. Doctors may be partially to blame, study suggests. As medical community finds treatments to combat the coronavirus, another deadly enemy continues to lurk in the hospitals across the country: antibiotic resistance infections. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention calls antibiotic resistance one of the biggest public health challenges of our time, and a new study suggests doctors may be partially to blame for its prevalence. This has been a bad problem. There's a strain of tuberculosis going around that can be, if you don't basically, if you get tuberculosis, you have to take this ridiculous medicine for 9 months, and even if you don't show signs of it, if you just said that you were exposed, they make you take it, because if it is hidden dormant and you don't finish the medicine, it can come back. It comes back stronger, and we're fucked. And tuberculosis is bad. The study published last week in the peer-reviewed journal of JAMA Network Open found more than half of the antibiotics prescribed in hospitals were not consistent with recommendations, alarming health experts who say inappropriate prescribing medication contributes to antibiotic resistance. So, our willy-nilly take a pill for that type of society, take a vaccine for that, take a pill for that, take a drug for that, it's causing this problem. We're over-medicating ourselves. The study, start the day smarter, get all your news you need, whatever. We're in the antibiotic crisis. Many call this the silent pandemic, going on concurrently with the coronavirus pandemic, said Dr. Deborah Goff, infectious clinical pharmacist and professor of pharmacy who leads antibiotic resistance efforts at the Ohio State Wexner Medical. But we don't really care about this, right? In the agency, we're just going to throw more drugs at it. In the agency of study, researchers looked at 1,566 patients who received antibiotics and found that 55.9% of them shouldn't have received them based on practice guidelines. Guidelines didn't support prescribing antibiotics to 79.5% of patients who were treated for community-acquired pneumonia and 76.8% of patients who were treated for urinary tract infection. It's because Americans, we go over there and we're like, give me a pill for that. I don't care what ails me. I don't want to adjust my exercise or my food habits and get unfat and whatnot. There's pain, give me pain. Give me medicine. Give me medicine. Give me drugs. Give me drugs. Give me drugs. Prescriptions were flagged if there were no document signs or symptoms. That's the American way of infection. No lab results or antibiotic if prescribed longer than necessary. Out of the patients that may have been unnecessarily prescribed antibiotics, more than 50% lacked documented infectious signs or symptoms, and nearly 60% were given medications for the excessive duration. over-medicating. American way. Patients aren't often given antibiotics when they're hospitalized and then prescribed a new course of antibiotics when they're discharged, Goff says, leaning them back to take medications for up to 2 weeks. These football schools of antibiotic duration 7, 10, 14 days were not developed based on clinical outcome studies. Those durations were just how the researchers designed the study, she said. But there's data clearly showing that these traditional durations are no longer necessary. Shorter is better. 31 million Americans suffer from osteoporosis. That's something different. Why do you, give me extra shit here? Taking antibiotics longer than necessary increases the patient's chance of developing antibiotic resistance by Dr. Ryan Shields, an infectious disease, said, not by, pharmacist, associate director of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center of Antibiotic Stewardship Program. This occurs when germs like bacteria and fungi develop the ability to defeat the drugs designed to kill them, according to the CDC. Studies have shown patients with antibiotic-resistant infections are at an increased risk of worse clinical outcomes such as severe disease, death, and compared to patients with infections that can be treated with antibiotics. This may be due to significantly longer hospital stays, higher risk for treatment failure, and increased risk for ongoing surgery, Soft said. According to CDC, more than 35,000 people from antibiotic-resistant infections each year. Damn, that's fucking a lot of fucking people for just that shit. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking people, man. Nobody's fucking ever talking about that. It's never on the news or anything. That's fucking news. They're not only deadly but costly. According to a January report by the CDC and the University of Utah, 6 multi-drug-resistant pathogens are estimated to cost the U.S. more than $4.6 billion annually. Jesus fucking Christ, that's a lot of fucking money. Every day they're in the hospital consuming resources, Scott said. Add it all up, antibiotic resistance costs a lot of money. Additionally, antibiotics that specifically address antibiotic resistance pathogens are more expensive than traditional antibiotics, running at a price of about $400 to $1,000 a day compared to $25. Jesus Christ. The study was conducted between the poor people can't fucking afford that. Between 2011 to 2015, which means prescribing practices have likely changed since the report has Shields of UMPC in 2017. The Joint Commission has put in effect a new accreditation standard for antimicrobial stewardship programs in hospitals to educate staff and practitioners about antibiotic resistance. We have to do something about fucking prices because these prices are ridiculous. However, it's not just doctors who carry the responsibility of combating antibiotic resistance infections. It's oftentimes the main, it's the reason, because we're the ones that come get the fucking drugs. When you're paying for a doctor's visit, many are going to the doctor for antibiotic. They pressure the doctor, Goff said. They were the consumer, and they also need to be educated because they're drug addicts. So yeah, that's a fucking big, huge medical problem that nobody seems to be talking about, and it came across my news feed today, so I figured I'd share it, because I had to fight that antibiotic-resistant strain of tuberculosis, and that shit ain't fucking fun. I'm good. I beat it. I defeated it. I won because my immune system was good. But we used antibiotics in our fucking cows and because we factory farming, because we put the animals in shitty conditions, and that filters into our food and stuff and into the environment, and it helps make our fucking diseases worse. So we have to unfuck that mess. I'm just saying. And we are continuing on. We're going to talk about this. If you haven't heard it, the Boulder shooting. They try to blame it on white people and stuff, but it wasn't white people. Well, let's check this out. So we have this news article here from the New York Times. Boulder victims of police officers, grocery store workers, and the Sons arrest refugees. 10 people were shot to death at Colorado grocery store on Monday. The victims included a police officer who was among the first to arrive at the scene. 10 people were killed on Monday when a gunman opened fire at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado. The authorities said they included a Boulder police officer, a young grocery store worker, and a retiree filling orders for Instacart. Among the victims was Officer Eric Talley, 51, with the Boulder Police Department, who had responded to a barrage of 911 calls among the shooting. Authorities identified the 9 other people who were killed as Denny Strong, 20, Nevin Stanisic, I probably butchered that, 23, Ricky Olds, 25, Trelona Barlos Kabaka, 49, I'm bad with names, Susan Fountain, 59, Terry Leaker, 51, Kevin Mahoney, 61, Lynn Murray, 62, and Jody Walters, 65. Here is what we know so far about their lives. And we're going to talk about each one of these people because I think it's important that we should highlight the victims And not the damn fucking shitty-ass shooter, which wasn't white, by the way, even though they were going to say it's white. An 11-year-old Boulder Police Department Eric Kelly was described as heroic by Chief Massey's Herald the scene shooting Monday night. He was the first on scene, and he was fatally shot. Chief Herald said in the news conference, "The world lost a great soul," said Officer Talley's father, Homer Talley. He was a devoted father, 7 kids, the youngest of 7 and the oldest of 20, and his family was the joy of his life. Officer Talley joined the police force as a second career when he was 40. I like this story, actually. Quitting a job in cloud communications. He wanted to serve people, Mr. Talley said. It's a breath of fresh air that we're not, like, focusing on the fucking negative and shit, you know what? All kids want to be policemen in many ways. He was a big kid. On Twitter, a woman described herself as the officer's sister, Kristen, and she was heartbroken. "I cannot explain how beautiful he was and devastating losses to so many. Fly high, my sweet brother. You always wanted to be a pilot. Damn colorblindness sore." Rest in peace, bro. Chris Lane, who works at an AT&T store in Boulder, met Officer Talley after. So this is more about Officer Talley, right? We're not gonna. We're not going to be here forever if we keep going. So now we have Ricky Olds. She brought life to the family. We got this woman, 25-year-old, who loved outdoors, was a front-end manager at King Scoopers, where she had worked for about 7 or 8 years, her Uncle Robert Olds said. She was an energetic, bubbly, and happy-go-lucky young woman who brought life to the family, her uncle said, and she had persevered despite hardship. She was the oldest of 3 siblings and was raised by her grandparents in Lafayette, Colorado, he said. Mr. Olds described his niece as strong and independent woman who enjoyed hiking and camping. She liked spending time with friends and family and often accompanied him and her cousins to their baseball games. So let's move on. They said more about the officer. It's kind of lame. Lynn Murray, former magazine photo director. Lynn Murray, 62, a former photo director and mother of 2, was at a grocery store on Monday filling an Instacart order, which she had enjoyed doing to help people since her retirement. She was an amazing woman, probably the kindest person I've ever known. Her husband, these are all awesome people that get killed, which is sad. Mrs. Murray was a former photo director for several magazines in New York. Her husband said the couple moved from New York in 2002 first to Stewart, Florida, and then to Colorado to raise their children. I just want her to be remembered as this amazing comet spending 62 years flying across the sky. That's just sad that people like these are gone. Now we have the Tarola Bart Kawalik. I'm sorry, I butchered that. A shop manager newly engaged. So this woman was going to get married. No, she can't get married. This is just, we don't really have time to talk about all of these people, and they're not going to talk about all the shooter here. This article, if you want it, there'll be a link in the description. You can read about these people, and you should read about these people, and we'll flash them on the screen a bit so people can, if they want to pause and read them here, they can pause and read them here. But we really, really, really gotta, like, the left's saying it's Asian hate crimes, right? White Asian hate crimes. But I'm pretty sure the shooter, right? This was the Al-Asami guy. Let's look that up. Colorado shooter. Boom. Yeah. Ahmad Awali Alisa. So it was a Syrian refugee shooting and killing a bunch of white fucking people, but somehow it's white on Asian hate crime. Or whiteness. That's what the left does. And that's what I wanted to highlight. And I'm glad I was able to highlight that with an article that doesn't focus on this dude's shitbaggery. But he was a Syrian refugee. He was anti-Trump. This happened shortly after we bombed Syria, which we shouldn't have done. And he's the Syrian refugee, and his family's also being investigated. And there's deleted tweets of him that were archived on the internet saying that there was more than one shooter there, like that before it happened. So like this was probably a retaliatory attack. This looks like it's brown on white violence. This black, white, brown, yellow, polka-dotted argument is retarded. It's just terrorists attacking people. If he lived in that area and that area had to be filled with fucking black people, it would have been him on black people. That's just him. It was him on Americans because a retaliatory attack because we attacked Syria.